Okay guys, we are halfway through the year and it is time to talk about, do you want to be in a home by Christmas this year? How to get there. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the key things that I look for as a lender and when I would suggest you get pre-approved. Now, if your goal is that you want to move in before Thanksgiving, okay, so you want to move in before Thanksgiving, you're going to want to get approved for a mortgage at the end of August, early September. And you're like, well, wait, Jen, I want to close in November, so why am I getting approved in August and September? That seems like so far in advance. Guys, inventory's tight in a lot of the country. Like there's not a ton of houses for sale in most parts of the country. So you need some time to look. Personally, if it was me and I wanted to close in November, I would look in August. If I wanted to, I would get pre-approved in August, probably the beginning. Like I want time, okay? So let's just go with the Jennifer Beeston. I want to get approved in August to buy in November and how that works. So the reason I'm saying get approved in August is because you got to get all your documents. The lender has to look at everything. I'm licensed in 48 states, just call me and my team. We fully underwrite the files. We want to go through with you what to expect with payments and closing costs. You need the mental ability to let this soak in. You need the time to let it soak in. What I see so much of is people go, I want a house by November. Oh my God, it's October 1st. I got to get pre-approved. Whoa, that's late, guys. You're going to be in this like reactive scenario the entire time, which is not the way you want to buy a house. You want to buy a house being proactive, not reactive. Okay. Sorry, I've got something on me. So you're going to get pre-approved in August, okay? And you're going to start shopping end of August, early September. And if you're like, well, wait a second. Like, what if I find a house in August and I close in September? Cool, move in. Your first payment won't be till November, okay? The odds of you finding a house within a week of looking in most parts of the country is really low. I was gonna say zero, but it's like, there are some parts of the country where we see it go like that, and it depends on your realtor, but there's certain parts of the country right now where it's gonna take you a month or two to find a house. So you don't wanna be in this pressure cooker situation where all of a sudden, oh my God, I need to find a house. I can't find a house. I have to rent again. Okay, so if you want to buy a house and be eating turkey in that house for Thanksgiving, you're going to get pre-approved in August. Okay, now what would I do if it were me? Like it's already the middle of July. Okay, so what would I do if it were me? First of all, guys, I would look at your credit cards. Okay, now if you pay off your credit cards every single month and you know you're going to be applying in August, I would be paying off my credit cards weekly. I know that sounds crazy, but when we pull your credit, it's not to that date. It's like a snapshot of time, and you really want it to have the lowest use of revolving credit possible. That's if you pay off all your bills every month. Now, if you don't, you want to make sure you're not over. So look at those credit cards. If you have any that are close to the limit or over and you've got a little bit of cash, put it towards those cards, because when I pull your credit, if you're over the limit, your score is going to be a lot lower than if you're not. Okay. What else would I do? I would be looking at my bank accounts. I would be watching my finances like a hawk. Okay. What do I mean by that? It's like Murphy's Law, guys. Whenever you get serious about buying a house, something goes wrong. Like that auto pay for your, Chase card suddenly doesn't go through and you get a late. Or suddenly, something pulls from your checking and you forgot to put money from savings to your checking and you end up with an overdraft. So you really want to look at all of your finances, make sure there's enough money in the accounts where you're not going to end up with an overdraft or something catastrophic happening right before you apply. Okay. Now look, a lot of people are going, Jen, I don't have perfect credit. I don't pay off my bills. Am I screwed? Guys, you're not screwed. This is like, here's the thing. If you want to get into a house by November, apply in August. In a perfect world, you're paying off all your debt. If you are, pay it off weekly before you apply. If you have a lot of debt, just don't be over the limit, because that does not look good when we pull credit. Watch out for overdrafts. Okay, so let's say that you want to apply and close by Christmas. Okay, well, then we don't need to apply in August to get pre-approved. We're going to apply in September. So you've got a little bit more time. Now, if you're like, well, Jen, I have debt, but I've got money in the bank, I don't know what to pay off. In a situation like that, I'm usually gonna say, look, I don't want you paying off anything specific until I've seen your file. And the reason I say that is because I want to look at the credit score and the overall debt to income and see how all that's playing together, because sometimes it's not a big deal. And what I'm always worried about is people will pay off stuff that they think makes sense, whereas I would have used that money in a different way that would have made more sense for the loan. And people will call me and they'll be like, okay, here are my 10 bills. Which should I pay off? I'm not doing that without an application. And the reason is I can't give you real good advice without. So if you're in a situation where you're like, hey, I think I'm going to need to pay off some debt, I've got a stack of cash, I would say apply earlier than September. Apply in August. If you think there's some work that we're going to need to do, or you're concerned about some structuring, apply earlier. Okay. Now look, my team loves to say, hey, apply when you're ready to shop. What they mean by that is apply when you actually intend to buy a house at some point, because otherwise what happens is we'll have people who apply who actually don't want to buy a house. They're just curious, or they apply and they want to buy 3 years from now. Well, we can't give you good advice if you want to buy in 3 years. I don't know what the rates are going to be. I don't know what the loan programs are going to be. I don't know if we're going to be in a war. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. So it's a good idea if you're thinking, November, December is when you want to be in that house buy. You want to be in that August, September time frame for application. Now, if you want to get in a house by November or December, don't switch jobs. It's that simple. Now, if, for instance, I'm going to give you the only reason it would make sense to switch jobs, and I'm going to give you some terrible, terrible ideas. If you're a trucker, listen to me right now, truckers. I love you guys, by the way. You guys are awesome. Do not switch from a buy the load to the buy of the mile. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to screw up your loan. I'm not going to be able to do it if you switch, unless you have a guarantee, which very few people have. Don't switch your job if you're a trucker. I need you in that job. Or call me, get on the calendar, okay? And that's the other thing all of you guys need to know. You're going to have questions before you apply. We're not some chop shop that's like, just apply, just apply. I have a calendar link in every single video. You can get on the calendar, talk to Sandy or Alyssa, who will answer all your questions. If the question's more complicated, I get involved. If the question's more complicated than I can handle, we get an underwriter involved. So we really do work hard to make sure you guys are educated and informed. So if you're thinking that you want to buy a house by November or December, but you're going to be switching jobs, get on the calendar and talk to us before you do this, because we can say like, yeah, that should be a problem, or no, that's not going to be, or here's what we're going to need. Okay. I see this a lot. It's not just truckers. Like I'll see it, in the medical profession. Someone will be like, well, Jen, I want to buy a house. I'm going to make so much more money as a travel nurse. No, I need 2-year history as a travel nurse. Okay. There's all these little, nuances with income depending on the type of job you have. So if you're thinking of switching jobs, please talk to us. Talk to us. Get on the calendar. Let's talk about this to see if it's going to screw up your chances of a November or December house. What else? Don't buy anything. Now, I don't mean anything at all. Like you can still eat and everything. But for instance, when I'm prepping for a house, I get crazy. Like I cut down the big luxury for my family is eating out, DoorDash and eating out. We're little piggies. It's that simple. And when I'm getting ready to buy a house, I cut it. Yep. Mama's going to cook. Yeah, no one wants, no one wants that. But think about where you guys are spending money that's a luxury. Cut it. Just cut it. Because here's the thing. My theory on this is it doesn't matter how much money I have in my bank account. It never hurts to have more when I'm getting ready to buy a house, because I don't know what's going to happen. I may need to put down more. I may need to pay off something. I may need, put the money in the bank. Okay. What else? Let's see, job switches are a problem. Don't buy a car. Don't get on that Tesla waiting list. Just stop with that, please. That's one that's come up a lot in the last 2 years. People have been like, oh my God, they called my number on the waiting list for the car. I can get the car, right? And I look at the numbers and I'm like, do you want the house or the car? Don't assume that if you're pre-approved, you can add on more debt. You can't. Don't add on more debt before you get pre-approved. If you want to do more debt, you better have house keys in your hand. And even then, if we're telling you it's a bad idea, you're going to be house poor. Don't do it. Okay? So no new debt. You're gonna save like crazy. If you pay off your credit cards every month, you're gonna pay them off every week. If you don't pay off your credit cards every month, you're gonna pay them off, you're gonna pay them down so you're under the limit. Before you do any big pay downs on anything, if you have a lump of cash and you've got a ton of debt and you haven't paid it off before, we're gonna do an application and see what you need to do. Because sometimes people take all their money and they pay off the debt, but then they don't have money for closing costs or they don't have money for a down payment, so then they're screwed again, okay? So here's what you guys need to know from this. If you wanna buy in November or December, you need to get approved and apply in August or September, number one. Number two, don't switch jobs. Number three, don't take out new debt, right? And with any of this, if you guys have questions, you're gonna get on the calendar, you're gonna talk to Sandy, you're gonna talk to Alyssa. You guys are gonna laugh. Sometimes I actually listen in on the calls. I almost gave 2 people a heart attack this week because I just jumped in. Like out of nowhere, they're talking to Alyssa and then out of nowhere, I'm like, hey, here's what I think you should do. And they're like, what the? Yeah, I do, guys. Look, I care about you and I want to make sure everything's perfect. So sometimes I do just listen in to make sure you're getting, the best information and everything's great. So look, you can totally buy by the end of the year. And if you're like, Jen, I have really terrible credit, cool. Call me, text me, just text me. Say, Jen, I have really crap credit. I need Ken's number. Ken Stray is someone I've recommended for years. I don't get kickbacks or anything like that. I don't get paid to endorse him. He's just good. Ken Stray at Scorewell, he's helped a bunch of clients. He's a good guy. He does a free consult. He's not one of these people. There's so many people on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube that are like, I'll fix your credit. And they do all these videos about how they fix credit, but then they just charge you $500 and they pay a service $18 to just monthly dispute stuff. That's bullshit. Okay, that's simple. It's bullshit. Ken's the real deal. So if you have bad credit and you know it, just text me and say, give me Ken's info. 707-478-0637 is my number. And we'll get you with him so we can get you on the path. But there's no reason to think that everything's impossible right now. And there's no reason to wait till the last minute. The way to get in a house is to be proactive, not wait, and then reactive. So I hope this video's been helpful. I know it was a little bit rambly, but I just kept on thinking of all the things. The key is this, look, once again with the calendar, and I know I'm harping, but it's free. So it's like I'm harping on a free service that I set up for you guys. Call them and get a plan. They will walk you through what you need to do to be in a good place to buy by the end of the year, because I am just manifesting a huge a huge November and December. I like all those pictures. I like the pictures clients send us of them cutting up the turkey. I like the pictures by the Christmas tree, by the menorah, whatever it is. I like them all. And I like end of year closes because you know what? They're magical. They are. So as always, guys, reach out. My team can help you everywhere except for Utah and Rhode Island. If you're in 2 of those states, one of my very good friends who's an excellent lender does those states. I'm always happy to introduce you to her as well. Thanks for watching.